Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 153. It is Friday today. Chilly here in Cincinnati, a slight little dusting of snow on the trees, but schools are in session, much to the dismay of students and teachers. And it's also a Friday before a weekend. It is a Friday honoring International Women's Day. So the title for today is Savoring, and when I was thinking or feeling into that title, the image I had immediately was of a woman who's pregnant. So I'll speak to my own experience. When I was pregnant with my daughter, which has now been 20 years ago. Wow. 20 years ago. Right now, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I'll try to translate this for those who have not had the absolute miracle and privilege of birthing a child through the womb. It is absolutely one of the greatest gifts of being in a physical body. And what I remember, and perhaps this is what perspective offers us, is how I was fascinated with each phase of the pregnancy, and yet I don't always know that we savor the moments, the experiences as we're going through them. There's this sense of rushing to get to the outcome, and this can apply to any creation, to any project, to any events in the future. You know, we put our focus on the future and we just want to get to that. And so we aren't fully present right here for what we're experiencing. And then later when we look back on it, you know, we hear people say, those were the best years of my life. Those were the most favorite experiences ever. And there's this sense of nostalgia, like I wish I could be back there because right now isn't as good. For me, the clearest example of that is pregnancy, because so much change happens so quickly and you're tracking the changes, but it's not always as easy to be present in the savoring of those changes until you look back. And so perhaps if we use that example, it will offer us insight into how to be more present here in the current moments that we're experiencing. I remember for my daughter having a lot of nausea at the beginning, the first few months, and then after that settled, you know, just being fascinated as my body got so big and there was just more of me everywhere, and how awkward I felt and clumsy, and the pains that would show up in these random places when you weren't quite expecting the pain. And then the miracle when a baby starts to move inside of your being, like I'll speak to myself. When I could feel the movement of my daughter, and I didn't know at the time that she was going to be a girl, I just knew she was a baby. The miracle of that movement and feeling another human form inside of you moving around, it's miraculous. It's incredible. Like there's no way to describe it unless you feel it. And when you feel it, you're in awe. I was in awe of the fact that we could have that experience together. Like, whoa. And then the bigger I got, the bigger she got, the more I could feel her movements, the more I could literally see my stomach moving as she was moving. It was just incredible. And I remember specifically saying to my boss at the time, I'm like, the baby just won't stop moving. And what am I going to do? This baby is just constantly moving. I can't get any sleep, which is so the energy of my daughter. She's a little global traveler, so she's always wanted to be on the move. But I remember my boss saying to me, enjoy it now while you can, because pretty soon she's going to be outside of your body and you lose all control of what her movements are and where she goes. And she was a woman who had a much older child. And I remember thinking, yeah. What do you know? What do you know? Oh, and now here I am, and I see these beautiful women around me who are pregnant and having babies, and I try to explain that to them, like, enjoy this, savor this moment. And yet, how could they receive what I couldn't receive until you have a different perspective down the road? So, yeah, savoring is not always so easy when we're in the change that we're going through in the moment, and someone outside is saying, savor it. It's like, what? Savor this? Savor my body being 40 or 50 pounds heavier than I'm normally used to, and the backaches and the cravings and the lack of sleep and going to the bathroom all the time. And what? Savor this? What are you talking about? It's hard to absorb all of the beauty as we're going through the metamorphosis, the change. Another great example is, birthing of a creative idea. So, for example, a book. I have a friend who has powered through the creation of a book, and witnessing that, watching my husband go through his creative process with his book. And I mean, so many people around me are sharing their creative ideas in written form. And as I support them and witness with them, it's hard to always put into words, savor the creative process. When you're struggling to feel, what does the cover look like? What does it feel like in my body? What do I see when I imagine the cover of my book? Savor that creative process, because you'll only experience that once. Because once that book is birthed, or that project is birthed, it now has physical form, and the creative process is complete. So savor the daydreaming about what that baby book is going to look like. I have a beautiful friend who works with clay, and once it's formed, once you've fired it, it's complete. So that process of forming and shaping it, he's found this way to really love his art and the process of his art, and be so present in the joy of it. When we're in it, though, it's sometimes hard to tap into the feeling of savoring, because we just want to get it done. Especially with a book where there's a deadline, even if it's a self-imposed deadline, and we're powering through it. We have a checklist. We got this part done. Now we got to go to that phase and this phase and get this part finished. But when the book is in your hands, when the baby is birthed and you're holding the baby, there's this immediate, I guess, nostalgia or wistfulness that you could just have a moment of that creative process back again, because it's complete. It's now in form, which is beautiful. And there's another process that begins after that. So with my daughter, I've had the absolute blissful pleasure of being able to watch her grow up and to see her stepping into her journey now. The same with my son. I mean, what a privilege to be a mother and to witness beings shape themselves into adults. It is the same for creative projects. Once we birth them, there is still this process we can savor of sharing them, talking about them. I had that this week when I was able to share Gaia's gifts for the first time. I savored the sharing of it. And I savor the process of how this book is going to go out and just radiate truth and love and light into the world. So there's no end to the savoring. My invitation, my prayer is savor whatever it is that you're in right now, knowing it's a process that is so important for you, for me, for all of us. It's such a delightful moment of expansion, even if it feels like our bodies are hurting and awkward and things don't make sense and there's all this pressure and deadlines. Savor this. Savor this, because this process fairly soon is going to shift form into something else. And the savoring of that will feel different than the savoring of what you're feeling right now. So relax your grip, your hold on trying to have it all together, have it all figured out, have it all complete. And be really present with what is it right now that we're moving through. How can you savor it more? Yeah, how can you savor it more? And then you've got all weekend to ponder and savor and enjoy and delight. So much love to you today. Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.